May the words of my mouth and the meditations on all of our hearts always be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer. Amen. Amen. Please be seated. How many of you have an XM radio in your car? Yeah? So, I'm not judging. I just want to say that on Sunday mornings, my favorite channel to listen to as I drive to church is Elvis Presley. Because driving to church on Sunday mornings, they have Elvis Gospel. And, you know, Elvis and I have a long history. It's complicated, but this morning, as I got in my car and turned it on, guess what song was playing? Amazing Grace. Amazing Grace. I was blind, but now I see. And I thought, well, thank you. Thank you. That's not how I planned to start my sermon, but I thought it was worth sharing. Because you see, my sermon today is all about seeing, being blind and seeing. So I hearken back to my career before I became a priest, working as an executive at nonprofit organizations. And I was fortunate for 5 years to work in Houston, Texas, as the executive director of an organization called Taping for the Blind. And we had a radio reading service, which is very similar to the Washington Ear, for some of you who may know that, where we broadcast on a subcarrier frequency of the public television station, newspapers, magazines, and books. People read them into files that were then broadcast on the station, so that people who needed to hear the news but couldn't read the paper were able to do so, or books, or other things. We also recorded everything under the sun, from vestry minutes to classroom lectures on audio tape. You know, this is before digital. And the coolest thing that we did while I was there was we started a group of audio descriptors. And that was people who actually would describe movies and live theater performance and even the Houston Livestock Show and rodeo. And that's when I became a fan of rodeo. But you know, when you think about it, we take for granted what we see, but people who are visually impaired need someone to describe to them what's going on out there when they're watching things. So our tagline at Taping for the Blind was turning sight into sound. Turning sight into sound. Now, in today's gospel that Sandra beautifully read, the Pharisees and the community have a really, really, really hard time believing that the man who was born blind and who was a beggar is now able to see and is healed. How many times, 3, 5, 10, asked him over and over again, how is it that you now see? Well, maybe he isn't really the one who was blind. We'll call his parents. And I don't know about you, but I was thinking phone, and then I realized, wait, that's not correct, Beth. They couldn't believe the man telling the truth about how this man came to him and put the mud on his eyes and told him to go wash, and now he sees. In last Sunday's gospel, we heard the story of Jesus and the Samaritan woman, and she had a hard time believing him until he told her everything that she had done. And the community of both of these people, the blind man and the Samaritan woman at the well, they had a hard time believing the transformation that happened in these two people. And they wanted to see for themselves. They wanted to go and find this person, Jesus, this prophet, this healer, to find out where he got his power and his ability to heal. Now, the Pharisees, who are the learned Jewish followers of the law, thought that Jesus was a sinner because he healed the blind man on the Sabbath. And they wouldn't leave him off the hook. They kept asking, how did you do this? And why did you do it on the Sabbath? But both the man who was born blind and the Samaritan woman had their lives transformed. They were able to see in a new way and to experience Jesus. And they believed in his power and believed that he was the Messiah, the Son of God. Unlike the story of the Pharisees and the blind man, the Samaritan woman's community believed because they went out to see Jesus and they learned from themselves that he was, in fact, the Messiah. The Pharisees could not accept that someone was healed on the Sabbath because to them, working on the Sabbath was a sin. So they challenged Jesus on this very issue, and Jesus tells them, I came so that the blind may see. I came so that the blind may see. This is an important message for us during the Lenten season. I trust that we have been able to see with our eyes and with the eyes of our hearts over these last 3 Sundays the needs of the community. We began Lent with a baptism, albeit rare in Lent, because we focused on, and we since have focused on our baptismal covenant, how we are to live into those promises that we make when we renew our baptismal covenant. And we heard about comfort cases from Rob Shear, about the needs of foster children to have things that belong only to them, not carried around in black trash bags. We are no longer able to put that out of our minds. We have to see in a new way. And last week we heard from Denise Sharp, the president of the board of El Hogar, about the needs of the children and their families in Tegucigalpa, the poverty that has stricken that area and that is a part of their daily life, and how El Hogar is helping to provide education for children 1st through 12th grade, and the struggle that the families have and the children have. We are no longer blind to the needs of these children and these communities. Once we see, we cannot unsee the needs of people, the poverty, and the ways that you and I, can help. And we, I pray, are moved to help to alleviate the pain and the suffering, to bring hope and light, the light of Jesus, to these children and their communities. We just sang, I want to follow the child of the light. I want to be a child of the light. I want to follow Jesus. In him there is no darkness at all. The night and the day are both alike. We follow Jesus. And Jesus tells us that the first and greatest commandment is to love God and to love our neighbors as we love ourselves. We know in our day and time that there is so much suffering and pain and violence and hatred in our world, especially in our country. People are banning books, they're rewriting or redacting history, they're denying health care to women and to people who are transgender, and destroying the truth in favor of an alternate reality. I imagine if Jesus were with us this day, he would say, I will come, I came, so that you will see and be woke. Jesus saying be woke is one of the things that I think he would say to us today. And you know, that word woke has become weaponized as if our understanding of our country's history and advocating for social justice is some sort of criminal activity. But it isn't, my friends. We have to be aware of the truth of our communities, the truth of our nation, the truth of our country. We, you and I, as faithful followers of Jesus, we need to become woke, to see the light and love, and to carry that light and love into the world. I found this, of course, on social media, and I'd like us to adopt this definition of being a woke mob. It's not negative, it's positive. We are a well-informed, large group of people with basic empathy who are compassionate, committed to dismantling injustices and making the world a better place for all humankind. That's what a woke mob is. That's what our baptismal covenant tells us that we are to do. To find the injustices and make them right. To care for all people, respect the dignity of every human being. You see, to me, being woke means that we are no longer blind. We see with our eyes and with our hearts the injustices of the past and the present. We are woke when we seek to serve Christ in all persons, and when we respect the dignity of every human being. When we advocate and strive for justice, like we have heard these past 2 weeks and will next week, And when we bring light and love to anyone, everyone, and everything, especially for those or to those people and things who are dwelling in or hidden in darkness, we are the ones in this place and in this time who must testify to our communities with our words and our actions that Jesus is the light of the world. In him there is no darkness at all. Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of God. And when we walk as children of the light, following Jesus and sharing his love, forgiveness, mercy, and grace, we will help ourselves to see where we are blind, and we will help bring light and sight to others. Amen.